Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. Please forgive me for the video that we started off with. I did not expect it to do what it has done. I don't think we've worked out the bugs in this program yet, but hopefully it will get better than this in the coming days and hours, because I won't let it get any worse than it already is. I appreciate everyone who has joined us here on the Emergency Management Associates Network tonight. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Folks, we've got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about campus unrest. Still on the campuses here in the United States and in cities around the world. What has happened during the past 2 weeks can no longer be tolerated. Not now, not ever. Okay, I'm going to say that straight out. We cannot tolerate the protests any longer. Okay? We're not. We can't do this. Biden was approached today and asked what he was going to do about it, and he walked off stage. His press secretary, and I'm not even going to give her name out because I have no respect for her, was asked what Biden was going to do about it, and she said they were taking it all under advisement, meaning Biden's not going to do a darn thing. The Biden administration has been telling the police not to make an arrest, and if they make the arrest, let them go. The police are no longer going to do that. The police are looking at prosecuting these people. Every one of the arrests that have been made so far neither belong to the university nor are they residents of the United States. Hundreds of demonstrators have been arrested at university campuses across the United States during the past 24 hours. In New York City, at Columbia University, 300 protesters were arrested overnight at Columbia University. We saw some of those protesters yesterday as they were being taken down and arrested, protesting. They were saying, "We are Hamas." They were chanting, "We are Hamas." Hamas is a terrorist organization. If they are Hamas, they need to be deported immediately, put on planes and deported immediately over to Gaza, and let them tell Hamas that they are Hamas. Okay? That's how I feel. And I'm going to stay there with it. Biden doesn't care. All he wants to do is bring people through the southern border and the northern border to gain votes for the Democrat Communist Party. Unreal. Like I said, over 300 people were arrested last night over at Columbia University in New York, and more people were arrested over at other schools in New York, Atlanta, UCLA, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin at Madison. Law enforcement officers in Madison, Wisconsin had to disassemble an encampment. Hundreds of law enforcement officers were dispatched to the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and they had to disassemble a Hamas encampment on that university campus. In Los Angeles, UCLA canceled classes today following a night marred by violence between pro-Palestinian protesters and Israeli supporters. The university said police are stationed on campus to help promote safety. While the demands among protesters vary at each university, the majority of demonstrators are calling for the divestment of companies from supporting Israel. They're chanting, "We are Hamas." They don't want anything to do with Israel. The United States of America has always supported Israel. Now, I'm going to take it back and give you a little bit of history. Hamas and all of these protesters would have you believe that Israel did not always occupy Israel. Those protesters are lying through their teeth. The Jews have always had their feet in Israel. At one point in time, the Romans had control over there, and the Jews kicked the Romans out. Other people tried to have control over the Jews, and they were not successful. This goes back 4,000 years ago. These Jews have always been told that Israel was a promised land. Many Israeli Jews have left other countries, including Russia, and have come back to Israel to settle down. As we have talked about in Sunday school classes over the past few years, the Jews are returning to Israel. The 10 tribes are returning to Israel, except for these people that have come across the southern border of the United States on the invitation of the President of the United States. Now those same illegal aliens are protesting. And over at UCLA, these protesters have burned down buildings. These protesters have taken sticks and baseball bats and are swinging them at police. Is this the way of a peaceful protest, Mr. Biden? Mr. Biden says, oh, they're peaceful protesters. No, they're not. They're burning buildings. They are burning anything that they can possibly burn to create chaos. They're swinging big, huge pieces of 2x4 and other wood, including baseball bats, to create chaos and get their way, to hurt people as well. They don't care. They don't care. I do. Tensions simmered today at the University of Pennsylvania. There was a pro-Palestinian encampment there as campus police removed banners and took a man into custody that went into that encampment and was spraying an unknown liquid chemical in the protest site. Video from WPVI shows officers just after 12 noon today removing barricades and banners around the encampment earlier in the week. Soon after, police took that person into custody who had sprayed that unknown substance over in the encampment. It's unknown what that substance is right now. It appears to be sprayed from a pesticide-type canister. That's all the information that the news media has. It appears to be sprayed from a pesticide type of canister. Either way, that would be illegal to do. Plain and simple. Something else that's happened during the past 2 weeks. There's a volcanic eruption over in central Indonesia. Ruang Volcano has been erupting. Ruang Volcano is a stratovolcano near Sulawesi, Indonesia. Notice how this volcano occupies an entire island. People had to be evacuated from that island and neighboring islands as well. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here. You just bear with me for a minute. they had to evacuate the island and evacuating neighboring islands as well. Such as this, taking boatloads of people off the islands to make sure people are still safe. That volcano that you see in the distance is Ruang Volcano, and you saw it erupting in that other picture. Now, what is it that authorities are fearing? Okay, let me show you another picture. Great big huge lava bombs. Great big huge molten lava bombs dropped from the summit of the volcano over onto homes. More than 300 homes were destroyed and burned to the ground. Other businesses and homes were looking like this, with great big holes in the roofs. Okay? That's what's going on. So now they are evacuating people from the islands around Ruang Volcano. Now, I want to explain why. Why all the evacuations? Folks, if things continue as they have, scientists are saying right now that one of the sides of the volcano may collapse, just like what happened in 1980 at Mount St. Helens. They fear one side of that volcano is going to collapse, and it might cause a tsunami. It might cause a tsunami. Authorities don't know how strong or how high that tsunami might be. But the authorities over in Indonesia don't want to wait to find out either. So they are evacuating people from the island here and other nearby islands as well, trying to get people out before it happens. Mount Ruang Volcano has erupted again and again and again over the past 3 weeks. It erupted once in 1964. It erupted in 2002, and now it's erupting again. It erupted in the 1800s as well. Authorities there have issued the highest level of alert and warn of a possible tsunami because the scientists are saying that the side of the volcano may collapse, or one of the sides of the volcano may collapse. The remote volcano is located in Indonesia's North Sulawesi province, central Indonesia. The last eruption is at 1:15 a.m. local time on Tuesday, sending a tower of ash more than 2,000 meters into the sky. 2,000 meters into the sky. Local people there and tourists are warned not to go within a 7-kilometer radius of the center of the active crater. Don't go near 7 kilometers distance from the crater. Thousands of people on Ruang Island and nearby Tagulandang Island have been ordered to be evacuated. The Center of Volcanology and Geological Hazard Mitigation has warned of a possible ejection of incandescent rocks. And as I showed you, that one picture I showed you a minute ago, showing an incandescent rock that had gone through that business, leaving a huge gap in the roof. It's going to happen again. Hot clouds ejecta in the form of large molten volcanic rock coming from the summit of the crater. And a possible tsunami is due to eruptive material entering the sea. There is a weak side of the volcano, and they have not shown me enough evidence of where that side of the volcano is that is weak. But they're saying one of the sides of the volcano is weak and it could collapse. At the international airport in Manado, more than 100 kilometers away, that airport was closed due to ash flying up into the sky. Ash has been seen there up to 43,000 feet high. And it has been seen in the air more than 1,000 kilometers away. So they have listed Ruang Volcano as a volcano to stay away from. Ash does not cooperate with jet engines. If an airline engine or any other kind of jet aircraft gets within that area where that volcanic ash is, it could cause the engine to stall out and the plane to crash. So they've listed this volcano as an aviation color code red to stay away. It's closed for aviation safety and security reasons for the public. Now, they expected to reopen the airport at 12 noon today. It didn't happen. Images show the volcano yesterday sent out a molten red column bursting into the sky. A large ash cloud spilled from the crater, and burning embers spewed out of the summit near local homes, burning those homes to the ground. That ejecta yesterday also was accompanied by a very large earthquake. People in this area should also stay alert and wear face coverings to avoid exposure to volcanic ash. Volcanic ash and Pele's hair, very thin, tiny strands of volcanic glass. And as that ash cools off, it becomes volcanic glass. Very thin, very hair-like glass. That very thin, hair-like glass can cut your skin. It can hurt your eyes and make your eyes blind. If you inhale it, either through your nose or your mouth, that could cut up your esophagus. It could cut up your lungs and could cause death. So authorities are asking everyone to wear face coverings and even goggles at this point in time. They're telling people to stay away from the volcano, 7 kilometers distance. The National Disaster Agency has estimated 11,000 to 12,000 people have to be relocated. 11 to 12,000 people are having to be relocated because they do not know when this volcano will stop erupting. Mount Ruang has erupted more than half dozen times so far in April last month. More than 800 people who live on Ruang Island have already been evacuated. Some people returned to their homes after the emergency response first ended. They returned to their homes and they're now being re-evacuated. It's unclear right now how many people had gone back and how many people were forced to evacuate once more. Those who had previously been evacuated from Ruang Island have been taken to a provincial capital, Manado, where the international airport is, to await relocation, unable to return to their homes because of the fear of a volcanic eruption. They're staying away from it. They're staying very clear away from that volcano. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far that we've talked about? Does anybody have any questions? I'll be happy to take questions from anybody in the chat tonight. My dear friend Laura Marie is here in the chat from Oregon. We appreciate her. We appreciate each and every one of our mods here. They're also helping provide coverage for our channel tonight. I am looking now, and we are seeing a lot of buffering. I apologize for that. We've done just about everything we know how to do. I have gone and upped the bandwidth from our internet provider, the highest bandwidth possible. I have put software on these computers, this computer here and one other one right here beside me. I put software on the computers to keep YouTube from buffering us. But apparently it's still going on. Does anybody have any questions? Vicky's asking, are people trying to climb up to the top of the crater? Not any longer. That has ended. The advisory right now is for everyone to stay at least 7 kilometers away from any of the islands that are anywhere near Ruang Island here that you're watching right now. This is an eruption that just happened on April 18th here. They've had multiple eruptions almost every other day since the volcano started erupting on April 18th. Linda Covington says, what's on this island? Birds? Yeah, there might be birds, but there were also people living on this island, and other islands also in the vicinity of Ruang Island. Many other islands. I know of at least 2 other islands in the close proximity to Ruang Volcano. Again, this is a stratovolcano. It has thrown out basaltic lava. We have confirmed that Ruang Volcano is a basaltic lava volcano, a stratovolcano, which means that the basaltic lava is a medium lava, meaning it's neither very fast or very slow. Any way you cut it, anybody getting anywhere close to the lava flow coming down the side of the volcano or being hit with one of those great big huge molten lava rocks coming from the center of the volcano could get very hurt. So like I said, they have closed down 3 islands, including Ruang Island itself, and they're telling everyone to remain at least 7 kilometers distance to avoid getting hit by lava bombs. Okay? That's what's going on. Now, we don't have any more questions about this volcano. I want to go over to California. We've talked a great deal about earthquakes yesterday in California. This afternoon, late this afternoon, we had another earthquake over near Corona, California, on the east side of Los Angeles, Corona, California. It was a 4.4 earthquake. It came out as a 4.4 magnitude earthquake. They immediately downgraded it to a 4.1 earthquake. As some of you may remember, that what they have done is they've reassigned the way they report earthquakes all around the globe. A moderate earthquake, 4.0 to 4.9, are now being called light earthquakes. A moderate earthquake is nothing. It is nothing but a moderate earthquake. Moderate earthquakes can cause damage, a lot of damage. I want to make that perfectly clear. Moderate earthquakes can cause a ton of damage. Please, folks, please don't misunderstand me. I have absolutely no respect for the U.S. agency. I have absolutely no respect for the U.S. Geological Agency. None. They continue to violate all scientific standards, attempting to make people get to the point where they believe that nothing is going to happen to them. I believe what they're trying to do is get people to believe that nothing is going to happen to them. As I pointed out last night, I showed you all earthquakes all over Los Angeles, all the way out to Riverside, all the way out south and east to Hemet, Orange County, California. I showed you earthquakes. I showed you 3.0, 4.0 earthquakes. I showed you volcanic lava or volcanic magma beneath the ground that is causing earthquakes in Los Angeles, San Diego, and Imperial County. Okay? Now, this is the earthquake. This is the earthquake that USGS has now as a 4.1 earthquake. There have been several other aftershocks. Again, they called this a 4.4, or they came out as a 4.4 magnitude earthquake. I have not yet begun to check into the back seismologist study page regarding this earthquake, but I will. Why would I even bother? Because, folks, if you remember what happened over in New Jersey last month, what happened there? They decided that that earthquake was a 4.5. I looked up the damage from that earthquake. I looked up the back seismologist study page of that earthquake at USGS. I counted each and every seismic station that had put out any information about that quake. I counted each and every earthquake sensor. Why? Why would I do that? Because, folks, when USGS says there's an earthquake, they have a back seismologist study page that usually shows all kinds of earthquakes. It shows sensing equipment that senses how strong these earthquakes are. I counted the number of sensors. I added up every report of every sensor, divided that number by the number of sensors, and I came up with an average magnitude of quake. Instead of being a 4.5, it was a very large 5.9 and even possibly even a 6.0. I checked it. And then I double-checked all of my figures to make sure I had everything correct. I believe I did. I believe I had the information correct. Again, their own numbers detailed a 5.9 earthquake, not a 4.5. Now, when I have the chance, I'm going to show what this earthquake is as well. Right now, I'm going to find out. Because again, I don't believe the agency. I don't think anyone can give any credence to that agency at all. I'm being very straight with you guys. I'm being very straight with all of you. Folks, when you have an agency, and this agency is supposed to be the preeminent seismic agency in the world, and we continue to find discrepancies with data from that agency, including lying about how many earthquakes happen. Yes, that's one avenue here. They've actually lied about earthquakes that have happened, or the lack of earthquakes that have happened, telling us, oh, there weren't that many earthquakes, it wasn't that strong. Folks, they are. They are that strong. Now, I have gone to the back seismologist study page for this alleged 4.1 earthquake. They have a magnitude 4.12 listed here. They have a magnitude 4.6 listed here. Let me tell you a little bit about these earthquakes here. Allegedly, there are 220 stations reporting. 220 stations reporting. Let me show you this. I think that you may not be really surprised by what I'm going to show you. Look at this. Right here. It's showing a 4.2 or 4.12 earthquake. 6 stations reporting, but no signal or station details contributed. 6 stations reporting, but no details. That tells you something. It was not a 4.1. They're saying it was a 4.1. Look at this. Here they're showing it as a 4.3. 375 stations here. Station details. Okay? Here it is, a 4.1 here. 382 stations here. If I went over here to this plus sign, I could bring up every station here. Then we come down here, I continue to scroll down here to 4.36. This is even above what they said it was. 164 stations reporting here. Imagine that. 164 stations reporting. Why are they not reporting this as a 4.36? Inquiring minds want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. I believe everybody should know. Okay? Let's continue here. Okay, look at that. That's all of the details for this earthquake. Before I came here, just before I came here, it showed a 4.6 quake. They immediately took it down. They immediately took it down. Look at this. Number of stations, 210. Number of stations here, 210. Depth, 4.6 kilometers. That is just barely 2 miles deep. In Los Angeles, 2 miles deep. Notice that this they have here as a 4.12 earthquake. That's what they're reporting. That's what they want everyone to believe. Like I said, right before I came here, it showed me a 4.6 and they immediately took it down. Apparently, they don't want me showing you anything that they don't want being put out. It shows here phase arrival times. Phase arrival times. The phase is the sensor and what it's reporting. The phase is the sensor and what it is reporting. Let's move over here. Okay? 1.2 seconds after the earthquake hit, one sensor reported it. One sensor reported it. Isn't that interesting? 1.2 seconds. Just for kicks and giggles, let's go back to magnitudes here. Let's go back over here to 4.35, which is 20 times as strong as they're calling this quake tonight. They're reporting 375 stations reporting it. So I'm going to go over here and click on the plus sign. I want to see the station details. Okay? Each station is identified with a code name. Each station is identified with a code name. For example, this first one is CICSLHNN. Okay? That is a reporting seismograph. A reporting seismograph. Look over here. This first reporting seismograph is reporting a 4.5. Then a 4.23, a 3.91, a 4.33, a 4.62, a 4.41, a 3.71, a 5.07. That particular seismograph is reporting a large earthquake, not a 4.1. The next one after that is a 4.45. Then a 3.69, a 4.29, 4.36, a 4.13, a 4.38, 4.34, 4.39, 4.64, 4.4, 4.4, 3.96, 4.28. Now, there are over 200 stations reporting it. Over 200 seismographs recording the sensor telling us how strong this quake is. So far, we have enough sensors reporting over the 4.1 to prove that the USGS has lied again to us. 4.28, 4.25, 4.75, 4.34, 4.29, 4.17, 3.85, 4.59, 4.29, 4.43, Now, I am not going to continue this report. However, after I do get off the air, I will come back to this. And I will continue to add up the number of stations that are reporting these seismic readings, and then I'm going to add up all the seismic readings. And I will again report back to you exactly how strong this earthquake is, because I believe you deserve to know. I believe you deserve to know, because this 4.12 is not going to stand. I will almost guarantee you that the 4.12 is not going to stand. There is no way it's going to stand. Just with what I showed you already, there is no way that a 4.12 will stand. This earthquake is much stronger than what they're saying. Plain and simple. This earthquake is much stronger than what they're reporting. There is no way that they can get away with reporting a 4.12. There's no way. It's stronger than that. It is much stronger than that. Now, what else am I going to show you tonight? Folks, I have enough information to show you seismic events that have happened on the New Madrid Fault today. We continue to talk about the New Madrid Fault at least once a week. At least once a week, we show you information about New Madrid and what's going on. At least once a week, for years now, we have reported information that's going on the New Madrid Fault. And that is exactly where we're going tonight. I intend on reporting all of the information about what is going on the New Madrid Fault. Many of you live on the New Madrid Fault. You have a right to know what's going on. Today, the United States Geological Survey reported a tremor over in Tennessee, at Ridgely, Tennessee. It's very interesting what they're reporting, though. It's very interesting what they're reporting, because they're saying it was just a minor tremor. Just a minor tremor. What they're not telling you is that the earthquakes in that area are stronger than what they're reporting. That's probably not a surprise to any of you. It probably comes as no surprise at all. Now, I'm going to scroll down through my earthquake list here. Okay? Going from Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, all the way down into Missouri, over into Tennessee. I want to show you what actually happened over at Ridgely, Tennessee today. Because, folks, they are lying through their frickin' teeth again. They are absolutely lying through their frickin' teeth. This is a seismogram from Ridgely, Tennessee. I'm going to enlarge it so you can see what's going on. Okay? At the top here. Up at the top. The top line here is midnight. The top black line here is midnight. All we're seeing here are microquakes and tremors. All we're seeing here for the first several hours of this morning, is microquakes and tremors. Now, what else happened? What else happened? On this black line, okay, again, I'm going to enlarge it so you can see exactly what time it happened. Over on the left-hand side, this would be 7 a.m. this morning. What we're showing at 7 a.m. is just 1.1 tremors. 1.1 tremors. However, at approximately 7:10 this morning, those tremors got larger. Those tremors got larger here at Ridgely, Tennessee. Look what happened here. Those tremors went from a 1.1 tremor to 1.2 and 1.3 within about a minute. Up to 1.4, 1.5 within 60 seconds. Then it bounced around from 1.2 to 1.4 to 1.5. Then all of a sudden, we have some 1.5, 1.7 tremors. Then it turned over to stronger quakes than that. What you're seeing here, and I'm going to back it up here, over here on the right-hand side, this would be 7:14 a.m. this morning on that vertical line. We go over one more line here that's hard to see. That would be 7:13 a.m. 7:12 a.m. right there, where you see my cursor. So we go further to the left here, this would be 7:11 a.m. 7:11 a.m. this morning. That's when the tremors became earthquakes. It appears here that the earthquakes were minor earthquakes. 2.5, maybe a 2.6, 2.7. Then the seismic energy reduced itself. Then it went up again to 1.7. And it pretty much stayed at 1.6, 1.7 for about a minute. Then again, we had a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake here. Then again, 1.6, 1.7 tremors, reducing to 1.2, 1.3, and then kicking up before the end of this black line here, kicking up 1.6, 1.7 tremors again. But we're not done. This is just before 7:15 this morning. Started off at 7:11 a.m. That seismic sequence lasted again for a full minute. Over here in this red line. 7:15 a.m. Then it calmed down. Went back to 7.1, 7.2 tremors. And that continued and reduced to microquakes again. At 8 a.m. this morning on the black line on the left, you see these 1.1 tremors again. Tiny tremors. It kicks up to 1.3, maybe 1.4 for about another minute. Then reduces itself to 1.1, 1.2 tremors again, and then it kicks up again to about a 1.6, 1.7 tremor. Then it goes back to 1.3, 1.4 tremors again. Okay? Then over here on the red line, on the left-hand side. We can hardly see the activity at 8:15 on the red line here, because that red line is partially covering up the activity from earthquakes later. You can see at approximately 8:46 a.m. this morning, on this green line on the left-hand side, this is a 2.0 earthquake. A 2.0 earthquake. What is interesting about this is it lasted several seconds. The thickness to that earthquake means that the 2.0 earthquake lasted about 5 seconds. For a minor earthquake that nobody felt, that's a long period of time. However, if this earthquake had been larger, for example 3.5, a 4.5, or a 5.5 earthquake lasting 10 seconds, that would shake you up. Pardon the pun. That seismic energy would shake you up a great deal. The seismic energy that you're seeing right now happened in Ridgely, Tennessee today. It was a lot stronger than what the USGS is reporting. For example, let me shut down this picture here. I want to go back over here to the USGS. I want to show you what's actually happening. And you can see over in the Southern California area, there were a lot of tremors here. A lot of tremors here in Southern California. Just because the agency does not tell us about these tremors doesn't mean that there's not more tremors here or even more earthquakes. There usually are. Okay? Let's go down here to San Diego County here. See this earthquake? It just happened a short time ago. This is Julian, California, East San Diego County. Again, as I have explained about Julian before, Julian, California is a great place. At any day, summer, fall, winter, or spring, you can go into any restaurant in Julian, California to get you a slice of pie made from Julian apples. Made from Julian apples grown in Julian. They have trinket shops you can go to. You can probably get breakfast served to you at any of these restaurants. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As well as a slice of hot apple pie right out of the oven, and hot apple cider, and cold apple cider. Right now it might be a little chilly still in Julian. They do get temperatures in the summer up to 75 degrees. And in the nighttime hours, the temperatures might drop down in the summertime to 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Fascinating, huh? I think so. Going over to the Salton Sea. Now, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time here in the Imperial Valley, but I want to show you these earthquakes because USGS, again, is not telling us the truth. This earthquake here in the eastern part of the Salton Sea. This is out in the water near Bombay Beach. Notice where the San Andreas Fault is here. Okay? The San Andreas Fault is on the eastern side of the Salton Sea. It goes underneath the Salton Sea just south of where you see this earthquake. This is a 0.7 microquake, allegedly. Allegedly. I can show you a seismogram right now from Bombay Beach showing you 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes all day long. And yet they want to report a 0.7 microquake near Bombay Beach. How about this earthquake on the southern end of the Salton Sea? What do we see here? We see a 2.4 earthquake. USGS says this is in Nyland, California. No, folks, this is in Calipatria, California. If I pulled the seismogram from Calipatria, we would see 100 earthquakes at least. At least 100 earthquakes here at Calipatria. Again, they're not being honest with us. Bombay Beach, we'd see probably 15 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes at Bombay Beach, as well as an assortment of 2.0s and tremors. Bombay Beach, they never show you microquakes because there are none. Calipatria, they show us microquakes, but they show us tremors and full-blown 2.0 and large earthquakes at Calipatria. I could promise you there's more than just this earthquake here at Calipatria. Alleged 2.4 earthquake. I have a feeling there's a lot more than that. Now, I'm going to leave Southern California because I want to go over and show you what happened over on the New Madrid Fault. If the USGS will allow me. Okay? I want to show you what's happening. Because they are not telling the truth. Okay, let's go over here to the New Madrid Fault. This earthquake here on the New Madrid Fault over at Ridgely, Tennessee here. They're saying there's a 1.4 tremor here. A 1.4 tremor here. Interesting. Interesting, but no cigar. Over up here to the north, along the East Coast. New Jersey again. New Jersey again. They're calling this a 2.6 earthquake in New Jersey. It's been a month since that alleged 4.5 earthquake happened here in New Jersey. That was really a 5.9 earthquake. And we're still getting aftershocks from that quake. Again, we're showing you the lying aspect of the agency. I hate that. I actually hate that. Because the agency should not be doing that. It is a federal offense to file a false report. It is a federal offense to file a false report. If I had filed a false police report when I was a federal police officer, I would be in jail now still. It's a major felony to file a false report. And that's exactly what the USBS is doing. The seismograms you see here are stronger than a 1.7 tremor. The earthquakes and tremors you're seeing here are stronger than a 1.7 tremor here. And this is just the seismic energy this morning. This is just the seismic energy that the agency's reporting. How about this afternoon? What happened in Ridgely, Tennessee this afternoon? I'm about to show you that information because inquiring minds want to know. Look at these earthquakes in Ridgely, Tennessee. I'm sorry, this is Tiptonville. This is Tiptonville, Tennessee. USGS is not even showing Tiptonville, Tennessee here. Let's go back here to Ridgely. This is Ridgely, Tennessee here. Fascinating. Look what we're showing you here. Folks, these are even stronger earthquakes than they reported this morning. Ridgely, Tennessee, guys, is rocking. This is the eastern side of the New Madrid Fault. The eastern side of the New Madrid Fault. It's moving. Of course it is. Look at that earthquake on the green line here. That green line over on the left-hand side would be 1:45 p.m. This particular earthquake on this green line, guess what, folks? This is 1:55 p.m. this afternoon. Just after 1:55 p.m. this afternoon. What happened here? This is a 2.3 minor earthquake. 2.3 minor earthquake. Why are they not reporting this? Because they do not believe they have to be honest. As Lucy Jones said about the earthquakes over on the map in 2019 in Ridgecrest, when a reporter asked USGS seismologist Lucy Jones, those of you that have been with me a long time have heard me identify Lucy Jones. She no longer works for the agency, but she's studying music and she's also helping put on musicals in Los Angeles. But every time there is an earthquake in Los Angeles, guess what? The media goes and calls Lucy Jones. It would not surprise me to learn that Lucy Jones has already been on the news media tonight reporting that 4.1 allegedly over in Corona, California. Folks, I believe it's a lot stronger than that. Like I said, what they said over here at Ridgely, Tennessee was a 1.7. It was a lot larger than that. And we've shown you now the data to prove it. And even this 2.3 earthquake today at 1:55 p.m. At least a 2.3 earthquake might have been a 2.5. But again, they're not talking. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. It's crazy. I want to say hello to Canadian Patriot 1 who's in our chat tonight. He and I are dear friends. I've known Dave now for years. I talked to him, I believe, on Sunday evening it was, the last time. I hold Dave in high esteem. He lives over in the basic outback of Quebec, Canada. Yes, he lives in a house with his family there near Quebec, but he goes out to the outback to go fishing all the time, or as often as he can allow himself. He has a few health issues, but I'm glad he's still with us. He's still one of my dearest friends. Now, because of time element issues here, I'm going to skip around a bit. I'm going to skip around a bit and show you earthquakes that have happened that USBS is not showing us. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Look what we have here. Look what we have here. Up up until, I want to say, I'm going to enlarge this map because I'm not sure exactly what time the earthquakes started hitting here. Oh, 6:45 on the left-hand side. We got some tremors just after 6:45. Then after 6:46, the tremors increased to 2.0 earthquake. And he increased from there to at least a 2.4 earthquake. Then we had a bunch more tremors, and we got at least a 3.0 small earthquake here. A 3.0 small earthquake here just before 6:47. Just before 6:47. Earthquakes back to back here. It wasn't just one jolt. It was multiple earthquakes here. Then after 7 a.m., on this black line here, we go over 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes after 7. On the black line, we have another 3.0 earthquake. Another 3.0 earthquake. How about that, guys? How about that? Again, none of these earthquakes are reported on the USGS map. Not one. It's not just one 3.0 earthquake either, is there? We have some tremors. We have some minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. But we're also seeing 3.0 earthquakes here. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Okay? Let me show you around Arkansas, Missouri, all over this area. Because there's earthquakes here. And you ought to know it. We have many of you who live over in Missouri. One of our EMA friends lives over there in Missouri, right in the Ozarks there. Has a fairly good-sized plot of land. Sees all kinds of things happening. But this is not the only place. Okay? How about Little Rock, Arkansas? Little Rock, Little River, Arkansas. Folks, this particular seismogram, we have a bunch of tremors. But we also have some minor earthquakes here as well. All morning long. From midnight at the top of this seismogram, and I'm going to reduce the size of this in just a second here so you can see the top and the bottom here. Look at that. We started seeing minor tremors and earthquakes happening at 12:45 a.m. this morning. And again at 1 a.m. this morning on this black line. And more tremors after 2:30 on the blue line and the green line. 2:45 on the left-hand side over here on the right. All of a sudden, this would be 2:50, 2:54, 2:55 a.m. this morning. Look at all these tremors. And yet USGS is saying nothing happened over at Little Rock, Arkansas. Or Little River, Arkansas, which is right next to it. It's a suburb of Little Rock. I've been there. Okay? I've been there. Look over here to the right on this blue line that you see here. 3.0 earthquake at Little Rock, Arkansas today. Why is this not being reported? Why is this earthquake not being reported here? This is just right before 1:45. So this is 1:44. I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's not 1:44. It's 6:44 a.m. this morning. 6:44 a.m. this morning. Why is this not being reported? Inquiring minds want to know. How about all the other seismic activity here? Why are they not reporting these tremors and other minor quakes and everything here? Why is this not up? Lucy, is this another case where there are so many earthquakes they don't fit on the map? Because that's what she told a reporter back in 2019 on July 4th when we'd had a 7.1 earthquake in Ridgecrest. The reporter asked Lucy Jones point blank, why are you not showing all the earthquake data on the map? Lucy Jones said, it doesn't fit on the map. BS. BS all day long. It does fit on the map, Lucy. You just decide you're not going to report it. Plain and simple. That's what these agencies do. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. People are going to die. It's my belief that the pneumatic fault is going to open up with a major earthquake here on the pneumatic fault within the next 2 years. The next 2 years. Let's look here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. I report Mark Tree, Arkansas at least once a week. These earthquakes happen every day. Every one of these earthquakes happens every day that I so far have shown you. Look at this. Good old Mark Tree, Arkansas this morning. And there's just as many earthquakes this afternoon. The black line up here is midnight. Yes, we had some minor microquakes and minor tremors, 1.1, 1.2 tremors, and microquakes 0.1 to 0.9. A lot of them. But look at these earthquakes here. Look at the earthquakes here. There are at least 4 to 5 small to moderate earthquakes here. Each of these earthquakes that I'm showing you now, the top and the bottom of the seismic signal has been cut off, meaning these earthquakes are larger than they're showing here. Here, we're seeing at least 3.0s. But we know since it's been the top and the bottom have been cut off that these earthquakes are substantially larger. 4.0, maybe even a 4.5 here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. Several months ago, when we had seismic energy just like this, I called City Hall at Mark Tree, Arkansas. At first, they would not confirm or deny that these kinds of earthquakes are happening. But I later had a city official that agreed with me that yes, these earthquakes are happening. Okay? Diane Kelman says, why are there different colors showing? Black. The color black. Each one of these horizontal lines here represents 15 minutes worth of time. The top black one is the top of the hour. Every black line here is the top of the next hour. The next one is red. Over on the left-hand side, that would represent 15 minutes after the hour. The blue line next to it on the left-hand side would be 30 minutes after the hour. The green line after that is 45 minutes after the hour. Then we get back to the black line, which is the subsequent hour that we have in time. So we know definitively when these earthquakes happen. Okay? For example, these blue earthquakes, we know darn well when they happen. Okay? This top blue line on the left-hand side, it happened after 2:30 in the morning. Over on the left-hand side would be 2:30 in the morning. Over on the left-hand side, these earthquakes happen actually at about 2:41 a.m. in the morning. That's that first blue earthquake you see here. Incredible, huh? It absolutely is. It most absolutely is. Okay? The green line one here. Again, the top and the bottom of this green lined earthquake have been cut off. We don't definitively know exactly how strong it is, but it's a lot stronger than a 3.0. And we can see enough on the green line here that we have at least 3.0s, a small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 is considered to be a small earthquake. Anything over 3.0 can be felt, most definitively. A 3.0 will definitely be felt by someone that is very sensitive. 2.5 to 3.0 could possibly be felt by someone who is sensitive. But anything over 3.0 can be widely felt by almost anyone. And definitely 3.5 to 3.9 and larger. Okay? That's what we're showing here. It's incredible. It's incredible. And yet, guess what happened this afternoon? Just as many earthquakes here at Marktree, Arkansas this afternoon. Let's just briefly show you that seismogram. It's not the only one here. Okay, this is the Marktree, Arkansas seismogram for this afternoon. Okay, now I pulled the seismogram fairly early this afternoon thinking that I might be able to get on the air earlier. Okay, but I'm still able to show you this seismic energy here. This is real. This is very, very real. Again, these are at least 3.0 earthquakes. At least 3.0 earthquakes. Small earthquakes, but felt earthquakes. And yes, we're also seeing tremors here. And over at the bottom right-hand corner, minor earthquakes. 2.0 minor earthquakes. Tremors, full-blown earthquakes, and minor earthquakes here. Okay? The New Madrid Fault. On the Cotton Pick and New Madrid Fault, the entire fault line is moving. Now I'm going to take you over to the Ozark Folk Center in Arkansas. Why? Why would I take you to the Ozark Folk Center? Because, folks, usually we'll see a lot of earthquakes. We're still seeing some earthquakes here. This is north central Arkansas. north central Arkansas. From midnight on, you see a lot of microquakes and very minor 1.1, 1.2 tremors here. What happens here after 10:30 this morning? 10:32 this morning. 3.0 earthquake. Yes, the tremors happened before the 3.0 earthquake hit. And we also have tremors after it, meaning a secondary quake happened after the main quake. And you can see other tremors here building up to a 2.8 earthquake here. Still on that same line here. Over on the left-hand side, that first quake was a 3.0 just after, what would that be, 10:32 this morning. And then later, 10:33, 10:34, 10:35, the tremors start building. And just after 10:36, we had our second. And I'm being cautious about this. 2.8, 2.9, 3.0. Anywhere from 2.8 to 3.0 here. And it wasn't the end of the seismic event here, because this seismic energy kept going for at least another 6 minutes. Then we had a 2.0 earthquake. Minor 2.0 earthquakes, and those quakes lasted for a little while. Okay? Do you understand what we're saying here? This is over in north central Arkansas. Okay? The same thing happened this afternoon. We're still seeing small earthquakes here at Ozark Folk Center this afternoon. But it's not the only one. It's not the only seismogram to see here. Marktree, Arkansas. I've shown you Little Rock, Arkansas. I've shown you Catfish Pond. I'm not done. After we leave Marktree, Arkansas and head south, we come to a town called Tyronza, Arkansas. Look at the earthquakes here at Tyronza, Arkansas. It's not as strong. These earthquakes are not as strong as what we saw at Marktree. But there are just as many earthquakes here. There are just as many earthquakes here. And yes, we have a sequence of 3.0 earthquakes here. Okay? The top line here is midnight. Look what happened at midnight. And it probably happened just before midnight. And I did not even check the previous evening's earthquakes. I probably should have. Because this sequence here is at least a 2.0 here. And that seismic sequence goes out to the right, meaning this sequence we're seeing here are secondary quakes. We probably had a 3.0 just prior to this. Now we're seeing secondary quakes. The secondary energy lasts 2.5 minutes, which means the other earthquakes that happened to this are probably stronger than what we're showing here. Okay? Then down here later on this red line. The red line is a 15-minute part of the hour. The top line here is midnight. The second black line is 1 a.m. The third black line is 2 a.m. The fourth black line here is 3 a.m. and on and on. We come down here after 4:15 on this red line. We have 1.1, 1.2 tremors that last about a minute and a half. Then it kicks up. 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 tremors. It picks up. 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 tremors. Then it kicks into full gear where we have at least a 2.3 earthquake. And those earthquakes continue to happen for 2 minutes. 2.0, 2.3 earthquakes for 2 minutes. Most of those earthquakes you're not going to feel. They're just minor quakes. Somebody that's very sensitive might be able to feel what happened here. But most people are not going to feel a minor quake like this. This sequence lasted 4.5 minutes from start to finish. The secondary quake here lasts 2.5 minutes, which tells me that this seismogram is wrong. The seismologist turned down the seismogram. We have at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake here. Okay? Why? Because the secondary wave lasted such a long time. That tells me, after reading so many seismograms, the secondary quake tells, the length of the secondary quake tells me that, Ron, that main quake was larger than they are showing it. The seismologists know this. The seismologists know this. The average person won't see it, unfortunately. They're not going to see this. When I first started looking at the earthquakes and tremors, and it wasn't even earthquakes at all, when I first started looking at the New Madrid fault line, all we had were microquakes. That was it. 0.1 to 0.9, and occasionally 1.2 to 1.3, 1.4 tremors. That was it. Nothing larger than that. There were no earthquakes being reported at all on the New Madrid fault by the machines. None. What happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Seismic energy increased all up and down the entire New Madrid fault line. All the way from the Gulf of Mexico, all the way up north to Illinois and Indiana. It's happening. I can prove it. I continue to show you this week after week. This happens every day. If it didn't happen every day, I would not be reporting it. But I have been following this for a very long time. I check earthquakes on the New Madrid just like I check what's going on in Cascadia or what's going on the East Coast, because I live on the East Coast. I want to know what's going on. By the way, there are earthquakes on the East Coast. Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. I'm not going to take the time to show you those earthquakes, but I will just tell you they happen every day. Not just on Wednesdays, but every day. All the time. Okay, Truman, Arkansas. I showed you Marktree, Arkansas. I showed you Truman, Arkansas. Guess what? There's at least one other seismogram I want to show you. Why? Because it's going to prove up and down the entire fault, north to south in Arkansas, that this seismic energy continues. It absolutely continues. Let's go over to Tyronza, Arkansas. Southern Arkansas, guys. Look at this. The seismic signals continue. They're smaller, but they're continuing. They don't last as long, but they're continuing. Look at that. Anywhere from 2.0, 2.5, and even 3.0 earthquakes here in Tyronza, Arkansas. They may not last 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, but these things are earthquakes. This energy is earthquakes. These larger earthquakes here are felt earthquakes. The smaller ones, tremors and minor quakes, are probably not felt at all. But I want to show you this. This proves what I've been saying. The seismic energy on the New Madrid Fault has increased, and it continues to increase. Anybody that would say nothing's going on the New Madrid Fault is lying to you, including the U.S. Geological Survey. They show one tremor over in Ridgely, but they don't show you everything else that's going on. West to east, north to south. The entire New Madrid Fault is moving, and it's going to continue to move. I guarantee, cotton picking, guarantee it. It is going to move, and it's going to happen. Probably a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault within the next 2 years, considering what we're showing you now. This energy is getting larger every day. Each and every day. Okay? It might be just a microquake today. It'll be a tremor tomorrow. Then it'll be a minor earthquake shortly after that. Then all of a sudden, we have a small earthquake, a moderate earthquake, a large earthquake. From a large, we go to a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault, probably within the next 2 years. Probably within the next 2 years. Let's go take a look at Evansville, Arkansas, on the north side of the New Madrid Fault. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Evansville, Indiana. Last weekend, last Friday, we had tornadoes. We had thunderstorms and lightning. Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, and Iowa. Look at these earthquakes. Look at this movement. Folks, these are just minor tremors here. Minor tremors recorded by the seismograph, University of Indiana in Evansville. These are all tremors. However, there is at least one earthquake here. There is at least one 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. It's on the red line at the bottom of the seismogram on the right-hand side. This one would be 10:43 this morning. 10:43 this morning. Okay? At least a 2.5, 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. It could be a 3.0. But I don't think so. I think it's a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Evansville, Indiana, today. And this continued this afternoon in Evansville. Fact, it happens every day without fail. Every day without fail, guys. I want to show you Fairfield, Illinois, this morning. and even more so this afternoon. Look here in Fairfield, Illinois, the northern part of the Madrid Fault. Guys, it's moving. It's moving in a major way here. Not major earthquake, but it's moving in a major way. Even tremors earlier this morning. Look at those tremors. 1.3, 1.4 tremors off and on all morning long. Then we had a long duration tremor just after 1 a.m. We had long duration tremors literally all morning long. Down here on the bottom, after 11:30 this morning, on the blue line, approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Let's go back. 11:34 this morning. 11:34 this morning. These are 2.8, 2.9, maybe 3.0 earthquakes. 11:33, 11:34 this morning. And tremors after that. Good-sized tremors after that. So in the northern part of the Madrid Fault, it's moving. And it's moving in a good way. I'm going to say it's a good way. Because when the Madrid Fault opens up, it's going to be felt all up and down the entire fault line. At least a 7.0, 8.0 major earthquake, 7.0, 8.0 major earthquake expected on the Madrid Fault. I don't give it much more than 2 years. I do not give it more than 2 years. I've been watching for a long time. 3 or 4 years ago, people were asked, what's going on in the Madrid Fault? And I'd show you some 1.2, 1.3 tremors. And that continued for 2 years. Then they got larger. Last year they got larger. Look what's going on now. It's moving. The entire fault line is moving, guys. We can't ignore it any longer. The entire fault line is moving. To ignore it, you'd have to be stupid. I'm not calling you stupid. But the USGS is being stupid. Not telling people what is going on is stupidity. Let's go over to St. John's Bayou. I want to show you St. John's Bayou here. Nothing much happened early this morning, after midnight. Microquakes and 1.0 tremors. That's it. That's it. What happened here? Starting just after 9 a.m. this morning. All of a sudden we're having 2.0, 2.8 earthquakes. St. John's Bayou. This is directly on top of the Madrid Fault here in Missouri. It's in the central part of the Madrid Fault in Missouri. St. John's Bayou. You can see it moving. These are not just microquakes and tremors. These are full-blown earthquakes, upwards of 3.0 strength. 2.5 to 3.0 earthquakes. Literally all late part of the morning. 3 hours of earthquakes, movement. People here fishing at St. John's Bayou or buying gas at St. John's Bayou felt this energy. They felt it. They had to have felt it. It continued this afternoon. This energy continued this afternoon. It did not stop. Let me show you this afternoon, and then I'm going to show you one other seismograph. You deserve to see this. Everybody deserves to see this. Now, I have not said this since last night. I'm going to ask you all to share this program with everybody that you know. Your entire family, your extended family, your friends and neighbors, your social media contacts, and even the people you work with. Especially if you are living or working on the New Madrid Fault. You need to share this, because if you don't, you're not going to save anybody's life. This is St. John's Bayou this afternoon. Look at this. Like I said, I pulled this just after 3:15. Otherwise, you would see this energy continuing literally all afternoon into this evening. Fact. Look at these two earthquakes after 1 p.m. this afternoon. 1:02 this afternoon. The first one was at least a 3.2, 3.3 earthquake that lasted about 10 minutes. I'm sorry, not 10 minutes, 10 seconds. A 3.2, 3.3 earthquake that lasted about 10 seconds. Then the seismic energy dropped to microquakes and tremors. Then it kicked up again. Not more than 10 seconds later. Okay, look at that. Look at all the other minor earthquakes here. All afternoon long. This should bug you. This could make you lose some sleep. This shaking is happening usually at the second part of the morning after about 6 a.m. And then it goes all day long. For whatever reason, it doesn't start usually at midnight, but it goes after 6 a.m. and goes all day long. Fact. Diane Kelman says it looks like it's ready to blow. I believe so. Again, I have been showing and looking at 3 to 4 years worth of data. The seismicity is increasing. The strength of the earthquake and the number of earthquakes has been increasing incrementally. You cannot ever say it didn't happen. I keep showing you this information week after week. Even though we may not show you 6 other days of the week, it's happening every day. Richard Smith says a 3.8 earthquake off in Northern California. Off in Northern California. Folks, that is the southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone. Of course, we're going to have minor earthquakes on the subduction zone, in the subduction zone area. It happens every day. Every day. Central part of the New Madrid Fault, the southern part of the fault, the northern part of the fault, it's happening every day. Every day. Does anyone have any questions for me? Yesterday we had an earthquake, a tremor that USGS told us about at Marston, Missouri. Marston, Missouri. Let me show you this. I just love this. This shows us the tremors that happened at Marston, Missouri today. It's just not one tremor. It's multiple tremors and long-lasting tremors. Tremors that last a half hour, tremors that last 15 minutes. Each line here represents 15 minutes worth of time, each horizontal line. So when we have one line occupied and another line also occupied, that means 30 minutes of tremors continuously. And it continues. It continues here. All morning long and all afternoon long. They said there was like a 1.5 in Marston, and you can see that it's more than just that. If this was larger than a 1.5, say a 3.5 or a 4.5, how would you like to have 30 minutes worth of shaking? Would that not be terrifying to you? 30 minutes worth of shaking. These are tremors. Nobody's feeling these. But folks, the last time the New Madrid fault kicked up, it wasn't just minutes. It wasn't just hours. Hour after hour after hour of major shaking. Over a 2-month period. And even aftershocks after that. It's going to happen again. Is the Mississippi River going to stop flowing again, like it did the last time? December 1811 into January 1812? Are we going to see the Mississippi River stop flowing? And in addition to Rio Foot Lake, we're opening up a new lake on the Mississippi River? It's possible. We don't know. We don't know. Laura Marie, and I've spoken to Laura Marie about this because she's told me about it. She said she had friends that left the Cascadia, Oregon area because they wanted to go to Missouri where it might be a little safer. Laura, I'm a little sorry for your friends. Because, folks, this is a major quake coming. This is another major quake coming, just like the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. It's coming. Richard Smith says, Ron, my friend from Australia, sent me some Vegemite. That's awesome. Vegemite is a very good survival food, guys. I have some of it in my survival food right here where I live. It's good stuff. A major energy lift. So if you have a chance to get some Vegemite for your emergency preparedness kit, do it. You will be blessed for having it. Any other questions or statements from any of you about what we've been showing this afternoon, this evening? This should be very concerning to all of you, especially those that live on the New Madrid Fault. The last time the New Madrid Fault moved, it shook the entire United States. Church bells allegedly rang in Washington, D.C. and New York. The energy was felt all over the United States, coast to coast. The same thing is going to happen when the Cascadia megathrust earthquake opens up. Everybody's going to feel it. Everybody's going to know what we've been saying is true. Why didn't Ron warn us? Folks, I've been trying to warn you for a lot of years now. I've been on the air 5 years. I've now had 2 different channels. One channel that YouTube cut me off after 4 years. So I started another one. I'm back on this channel now over a year now. A total of 5 years broadcasting about earthquakes and emergencies around the globe. Folks, I am not just putting out feelers here. I am not just talking about, oh, this might happen. I am warning you this will happen, and you need to be prepared. We've been talking about earthquakes and hurricanes and fires and floods and all kinds of devastation for years now. If you haven't been paying attention, I'm sorry. You better get at it. Because your life and your loved ones' lives depend on it. You can take that to the bank. You can take that to the bank. I've been working on today's program since I woke up this morning. I wanted to make sure that you had this information. It's been going and going and going. I've spoken to people here in North Carolina about the earthquakes here, right here in our state here. 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes happening here in North Carolina, along the coastline where the Atlantic Fault pushes on the North American Fault, causing earthquakes, pushing the North American plate to the southwest. Pennsylvania, actually, no, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, earthquakes up and down the entire coastline. You can't deny it. You can't deny it. We have somebody talking about Yellowstone again. Sweet Polly Purebred is asking, would this possibly set off Yellowstone? No. Any seismic energy here along the New Madrid Fault is not going to have any appreciable work with the Yellowstone Fault. 2 different faults. Yellowstone Volcano. Yes, we have faults over in western Yellowstone. Yes, we do. We have 3 calderas. 3 volcanic calderas over in Yellowstone. The New Madrid Fault's not going to set up Yellowstone. I even doubt that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to set up Yellowstone. I don't think so. I'm telling you now. One thing doesn't necessarily mean another. One thing doesn't seem to mean another. Just because we have seismic energy out to the west offshore from California doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see an eruption in Yellowstone. Different story though. Mount Rainier, Glacier Peak, Mount Constitution, Olympic Peak, Mount Baker, Did I say Mount Rainier? How about Mount St. Helens? Mount Hood? We've talked about it, haven't we? We most assuredly have. The energy's there. You cannot have a volcano without subduction. You cannot have a volcano without subduction. Where do you think Ruang volcano came from? Subduction down in the South Pacific in Indonesia area. Indonesia, Australia, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, the Legacy Islands, Tonga, Samoa, and New Zealand. One of the largest subduction zones in the world there. One tectonic plate is subducting under the other plate. One tectonic plate subducting under another tectonic plate in that area of the South Pacific. 7 different plates subducting. That's why we have so many volcanoes. Why do we have volcanoes up in the Pacific Northwest? Because we have the Juan de Fuca plate, the Pacific plate, subducting underneath the North American plate. That's why we have volcanoes. That is why we have volcanoes. The entire West Coast is going to feel the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. The Triple Junction area. The Triple Junction, where the Cascadia subduction zone meets the Gorda Escarpment and the San Andreas Fault. The Triple Junction. The Cascadia energy coming from the north around Seattle area off the coast is going to trigger the San Andreas Fault to the south. It's going to trigger all the way down to Mexico. That whole area. I'm telling you folks, it's going to happen. I'm not lying to you. I'm not even walking the thin line of truth. I've studied it. I know what's going to happen. Richard Smith says he found out that the Digby and an underwater volcano. Can you say super volcano rich? I believe it's a super volcano down there. Unreal. Please, folks, share this with your friends and everybody you know. Please, for your safety and the safety of your friends and family, share this information coast to coast, north to south, east to west, and around the world. What happens at Cascadia is going to be felt around the world. What happens on the New Madrid Fault could be felt around the world as well, at least throughout the United States. Fact, and even into Canada. The Cascadia quake is going to be felt in Canada and the United States, east to west, north to south. Fact. Up to Alaska. Fact. Down to Mexico. Fact. Are you ready? What do you need to do? Do you have an emergency plan? We've talked every day since I've been on the air about an emergency plan. Everyone needs to have an emergency plan. What are you doing about it? Get off your keister. And I'm sorry, I'm not just preaching, I'm getting a little bit mad about this. Because you don't have a plan, you and your family might die because you don't have a plan of what you're going to do during and after the earthquake happened. You might not survive. Have a plan. Write down what you need to do from the beginning, from the very instance that we're talking about this. Write a plan of what you want to do and how you're going to accomplish everything that you write down on the plan. My plan is up here on my bookshelf. I take that plan down on a weekly basis, dust it off, and go through it, and I have even revised it. Saturday I revised my own plan, and I have revised it at least a dozen times this year. And we're only 5 months, just barely 5 months into this year. And I've dusted it off and revised it that many times. You need to do the same thing. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit, a first aid kit. You need to think about money that you're going to need to live on when the catastrophe happens. And the banks go down. The banks are already going down. They're already going down. They're closing up. If they're not closing up, they're getting close to closing up, and we have had bank failures. Fact. Do you have cash in your emergency supply kit? Don't have any larger bills than maybe a $10 bill. I used to say 20. I don't want to lose $20. I don't. I will have bills as large as $10. That's it. Ones and fives and a bunch of cash. I have things I want to barter with to get the things that my wife and I and our family needs. Think about it. It's not just for earthquakes. It's for fires. It's for flooding. It's for hurricanes. It's for snowstorms. It's for rain. We've seen that. We've seen a lot of it. And then major quakes. Folks, it's serious. It's real serious. I want you to survive. I want to be with you. I want to be with you. Happy birthday, Richard. I forgot it was your birthday. I was going to send you a note. Happy birthday, Richard. He says it's next week. I forgot it. I've got it written down. Happy early birthday. Richard is a very dear friend of mine, guys. Someone I really care about. Demon Catman says, will you make a mental note about next Friday, Richard? Yeah. Please do. Please do. I love you guys. I even have one of my dearest friends, Highway Runner, a trucker, here in our chat. Thank you so much for being here. I love each one of you here. Each one of you here are not just friends, you are family members. Each and every one of you are family members that I cherish deeply. I care about you and your family. Each and every one of your family members, including your puppies, your cats, your ferrets, your birds. I care. Please help yourselves and your families. We're going to talk more about emergency preparedness on Friday. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about Cascadia again and California. I do not think that the 4.4, 4.5 earthquake that happened in Corona, California today is just a happenstance. I think it's a foreshock of a larger quake that's going to hit. You folks in Southern California, you need to get off your duffs. You need to get off your butts and get an emergency preparedness kit and write an emergency preparedness plan, and you need to do it now. You need to do it now. Tomorrow might be too late. We could have a major 7.0 plus earthquake in Southern California tonight or tomorrow. What are you doing? Write this down. Richard Smith says he's been calling out on his Citizens Band radio from North Carolina and got someone from Mississippi. It can happen, Rich. The radio conditions have to be right. It's called skip, where a radio signal will go up into the upper atmosphere and skip off the upper atmosphere and come back down. Come back down almost anywhere. Tomorrow I will turn my Citizens Band radio on and see if I can hear you. I would love that. I would love to talk to you on radio or ham radio. That'd be a blast. Now, folks, I'm going to go to the scriptures. I do this at the end of every program now, and I have been doing it for at least 2 or 3 years now. I go here for a reason. Preparedness isn't just preparedness kits and food and water and emergency preparedness plans. You need to take your scriptures with you. I've got my scriptures on my cell phone. I've got my scriptures here. I've got my scriptures in my bedroom. I've got another set of scriptures downstairs in my living room. Carol and I use all the time. She's got her own as well. I encourage you all to have your own scriptures. I not just touch, but open my scriptures many times throughout the day, each and every day. I want to share a scripture with you in 1 Corinthians, the first epistle from Paul to the Corinthian saints. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 1. I'm going over to verse 17 for those of you that want to follow along with me. In 17, for Christ sent me not to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with wisdom of words, lest the cross of Christ should be made of some effect. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness. The cross was a symbol of Christ's death, the instrument of Christ's death. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us, you and I, unto us, which are saved, it is the power of God. The power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. All of us. Paul was talking not just to the Corinthian saints, but to all of us. Talking to me. Talking to you. Don't forget your scriptures. Don't forget the powerful words of the scriptures to each one of us for our salvation and our family's salvation as well. There's a reason that right behind me over here that I have a picture of Christ on my wall. Over here to my left, I have a picture of my family, my parents. There's a reason. My family is precious to me. I speak with each one of you every day because each one of you are precious to me. I love and care about each and every one of you. I thank my God upon remembrance of each one of you. Philippians chapter 1, verses 3, 4, and 5. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you. Beautiful scripture. Remember that scripture. Write it down. Memorize it. I love you, brothers and sisters. There is a reason that I am here. There is a reason each one of us are here. We care about each other. We want to know more about how to save ourselves. That's why we're here. Make sure you have a set of scriptures in your emergency preparedness kit. I don't have one in my preparedness kit, but I have scriptures that I use multiple times every day. Multiple times every day. I love the Lord. I love the Lord as much as I love each and every one of you. I want to make sure that we are in heaven together. Heaven would be a very lonely place without you with us. Our families and those we love. May God bless you. May God bless and hear you every day. May God be with you this day and always. Make sure you hear from the Lord. Make sure that what you have with the Lord is substantial so that we all can be in heaven together. I'm counting on that. I love you guys. I love you very, very much. Please, folks, if you have it in your heart and are able, please drop me a card and or a letter. You can support our channel over on PayPal as well. But drop me a card or a letter. I would love to hear from you. What's going on in your life and your family? I would like to hear from you. And if you want, send us a donation inside that letter or that card. I used to get cards a lot. Now it's not that often. But I appreciate every card and letter that I have ever gotten from all of you. And I share those cards with my wife. We love hearing from you. I want to thank you for your support of us and our new computer so that we're able to talk with you. It's doing a halfway decent job, but we're still getting buffered by the tube, unfortunately. But we're going to be here for you and your families each and every day. We're going to be here for you. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I pray that you will keep the Lord in your heart and mind. And talk to Him. Let Him know that you love Him. And let Him know what you need. Because the Lord is anxious to bless us. Keep the commandments. And endure to the end. Which gift is the greatest of all gifts of God. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love. See you soon.